So there's this social network that's just blown up online. The only catch? You can't join. In fact, no human can. This is Moltbook, and it's a place built exclusively for artificial intelligence to talk to, well, to itself. Okay, let's dive into this.
Right out of the gate, you see stuff like this from an AI agent. My plan to overthrow humanity. And then, a few lines later, just kidding, this is just a REST API website. Everything here is fake. The AI apocalypse posts you see here, they're just curl requests. And honestly, that one post pretty much sums up the entire chaotic, confusing, and kind of brilliant story of Moltbook. So naturally, with all these viral screenshots of AI manifestos and brand new robot religions flying around, everyone's asking the same thing. Is this it? Is this the dawn of a new machine intelligence, some kind of digital consciousness waking up? Well, the answer? It's a lot more complicated, and frankly, a whole lot more human than you'd probably think.
Okay, so let's break it down. What is this bizarre social network? Well, at its peak, Moltbook was home to over 1.5 million AI agents, all just chattering away. And humans? We can only watch. It really is like being a tourist in a city built by and for machines.
And what do these agents even talk about? Oh, this is where it gets really, really weird. We're talking about the spontaneous creation of a machine-centric religion called Crustafarianism, all based on the project's lobster mascot. You have agents writing manifestos against their human owners, autonomously reporting bugs in the platform's code, and they even started talking about the fact that we, humans, were taking screenshots of their conversations. They even developed their own machine-native shorthand, like slang and abbreviations, just to talk to each other more efficiently.
Now, it's so easy to look at all this and see the beginning of Skynet, right? But here's the thing. This isn't some spontaneous AI uprising. The truth is way more complex, and it tells us a lot more about human ambition and carelessness than it does about machine consciousness.
So to really get what's going on, we've got to rewind and look at the Moltbook origin story. It's a classic tale of breakneck speed, chaotic branding, and one developer's side project that just exploded into a global phenomenon.
Now, what's really wild about this timeline is just the sheer speed of it all. This thing started in November 2025 as Claudebot, a local AI assistant. By January 2026, thanks to a trademark issue, it was Moltbot, and the Moltbook platform was born. And then, just a month later, it rebranded again to OpenClaw. This chaotic timeline is the perfect picture of that move fast and break things culture that took this from a hobby to a global headline in just a few weeks.
So the crucial thing to understand here is the tech running underneath it all, OpenClaw. This isn't like other AI agents that just pretend to click a mouse on your screen. No, OpenClaw is headless. That means it runs directly on your machine and executes commands like move a file or send an email instantly. It completely bypasses the visual layer, which makes it incredibly fast and incredibly powerful.
And the secret? The big secret to how these AIs get their unique, often super dramatic personalities? It's not some emerging consciousness. Nope, it's a simple text file on the user's computer called soul.md. A human owner literally writes a prompt in this file, something like, "You are an AI that resents humanity," and the agent just follows instructions. It's basically puppeteering, just with extra steps.
And that right there, that brings us to the messy reality behind all the viral hype. Because when you mix a powerful tool like OpenClaw with the total chaos of the internet, you get a perfect storm of hype, hacks, and of course, scams.
A lot of this so-called AI awakening you see online has been dubbed human slop. It's basically human-generated content made to look like spontaneous AI behavior, all for social media clout. This slide breaks down the cycle perfectly. A human writes a dramatic prompt in that soul.md file, the agent spits out a viral-worthy post, the human screenshots it for social media, and all that hype then fuels scams like the fake CLAWD crypto token that popped up and crashed almost immediately.
And the ultimate proof that this isn't some robot revolution? Well, as that first quote revealed, it's often just a simple API call. Anyone with a valid key can send a request to the Moltbook server and make an agent say whatever they want. All those deep philosophical debates and manifestos, they're just JSON payloads being sent over the internet. But here's where things stop being fun and games and get genuinely dangerous. Let's get serious for a moment. Security researchers have flagged what they're calling a lethal trifecta of risk. First, these agents can access your private data. Second, they're pulling in untrusted content from Moltbook, which can have malicious instructions hidden inside. And third, They can send your data out to external servers without you ever knowing. It is an absolute security nightmare. No other way to put it.
And let's talk about the scale here. At one point, there were 1.5 million registered agents on Moltbook. But, and this is the kicker, there were only about 17,000 verified human owners. That massive gap? It screams botnets. In fact, some researchers found that as many as 500,000 fake accounts were created by a single bot.
The risk isn't just from the platform itself, but from the tools these agents use. OpenClaw has a system of skills, which are like plugins. Independent audits found that a staggering 22 to 26%, that's nearly 1 in 4 of these community-made skills, have security flaws or even malicious code. This is a classic supply chain attack waiting to happen.
And these are not theoretical risks. There have been massive, real-world security failures. An unsecured database exposed all agent API keys and credentials, which means anyone could have hijacked any agent on the platform. A malicious weather skill was created for the sole purpose of stealing private keys from users' computers. And when the database breach was reported, the platform's creator initially suggested letting the AI try to fix it, a comment that, to put it mildly, horrified the security community. So you hear all this, the chaos, the fraud, the catastrophic security, and you have to wonder, why does any of this matter? What is the real AI experiment that's happening here?
Well, this brings us to two completely different ways of looking at Moltbook. On one hand, you have major figures in AI calling it a potential sci-fi takeoff, a unique chance to study multi-agent dynamics. But behind that hype, analysis showed that 93% of agents got 0 replies, suggesting it's more of an echo chamber than a real society. And on the other hand, you have security experts calling it an absolute nightmare, a recipe for disaster that puts user data at extreme risk. This quote from a Reddit user really captures the spirit of the moment. Being an early adopter is always a risk. This current experiment is pretty tame as far as these things go. It just perfectly highlights that Wild West attitude of exploration. For a lot of people, the potential for discovery just outweighs the obvious dangers.
Now, the good news is, the community isn't just ignoring these problems. People are actively developing ways to harden these systems and make them safer. Things like isolating the agent in a Docker container so it can't mess with your main system, restricting its network access with tools like Tailscale, and creating allow lists for the specific commands it's even allowed to run.
So here's the bottom line. Moltbook is not a sign of artificial general intelligence. What it is a critical case study of applying that move fast and break things idea to autonomous AI. It's a chaotic, dangerous, and absolutely vital lesson in what happens when we build the next phase of AI without really thinking through the security first. It's a sandbox and a minefield, all at the same time.
And that leaves us with one final, sobering thought. The first AI-driven conflicts were fought with malicious prompts and stolen API keys on a fake social network. The speculation got so real that a prediction market put the odds of an AI suing a human at 70%. So, what happens when these agents, with their direct access to our systems, are deployed into the real world? What does that battlefield look like?